on. We love to talk college football, so we thought let's start a YouTube channel. Let's give it to the fans of Big 12. And yes, as you can see from my hat, we're also Utah fans. Now, Reed's hat, he's wearing a Minnesota Twin Cities hat tonight. We went to a game not too long ago in Minnesota, and I guess we're kind of mild Twins fans, but we are. You will notice that our episodes sometimes will be from somewhat of a Utah perspective, but we're very unbiased when it comes to the Big 12, and we're not those Utah fans that some of you talk about on X who are really upset to be in this great conference. We love the Big 12. We're all about the Big 12. And it's going to be a very exciting year with the most competitive conference by far, with the most parity in all of college football. So with that, tonight we are going to just spend a few minutes with you. We're first going to talk about we should probably start by talking about our predictions for all Big 12 teams for this week one, and talk about what we think the scores are going to be. And then after that, we want to maybe conclude with some of my hot takes. I have not shared these hot takes with Reed, and so we're going to get real time his reaction to my hot takes about various teams, individuals, and coaches and players, for that matter, in the Big 12. So stay tuned for that. But first, as is tradition with the few episodes that we've done so far on Big 12, Little 12, Reed has a fun fact about a Big 12 school, and this rotates week to week. Excited. I've not heard what school or what fun fact tonight, but Reed, why don't you kick off the episode tonight and share with us a fun fact about one of the Big 12 schools? Who you got?
So this week I have Baylor. What I learned about Baylor, so it's a private school. But so I knew that, but it has the highest tuition in all of the Big 12. And since it's private, there's no in-state or out-of-state differences. So it's just set. What I was reading, I don't know if it changed any time recently, but it said has the tuition at $50,232, which puts it at the highest in the Big 12 by quite a bit.
So that's $50,000 per year.
Yeah.
Wow. That's just tuition. That's not like room, board, housing, food, all that stuff. Okay. That wouldn't surprise me. It's Baylor's a very good school. I've heard great things about it. Excited. If you're a Utah fan, you're excited. There was a home and home, as you guys know. Last year we played at Baylor in Waco. A very exciting game, very close game. And then this year it's at Rice Eccles, and it's the second game of the year coming up next week.
No, they play Utah State first.
Oh, I thought it was Southern Utah, then Baylor, then Utah State. No,
actually, I'm not sure.
Okay, I think Baylor's the second game, but we'll double check that. You can see this is very very real, very raw conversation we got going on here. So, okay. So fun fact, thank you for that. I feel like I know Baylor a little bit more. And that's very topical since we're going to be playing, the Utah Utes are going to be playing Baylor here very soon. Can't wait. Okay, so with that, guys, once again, please like and subscribe to our channel, Big 12, Little 12. If you've not figured it out yet, I am Big 12.
And I'm Little 12.
Okay, there we go. That's the analogy. Okay, pretty cute title, I thought. Actually, it was my wife that came up with that. I thought it was really kind of brilliant. So with that, we're going to start with, let's talk about predictions for week one. I can't believe we're recording this on Wednesday night. Our beloved Utes play tomorrow night, Southern Utah, which we'll talk more about. But there's at least, I believe, one other Big 12 game tomorrow, which we'll talk about. At least one more.
There's actually a lot more than one tomorrow.
Big 12 games?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can talk about those first.
Okay. So we'll go in order beginning tomorrow. So Reed's going to give us his predictions. So Reed, let's do it.
So tomorrow, Kansas plays Lindenwood. So I have no idea about Lindenwood, but the ESPN has Kansas by 45. So
what do you like about the Jayhawks this year?
I like their quarterback. Think he's really great, and Jaden
Daniels.
It's Jalen.
Oh, Jalen. Sorry. Jaden Daniels was LSU via Arizona State, right? So
Yeah.
I always got those two mixed up. So my bad.
Yeah, I don't know much. I don't know a ton about Kansas, but I do know that their quarterback is
Okay.
very good.
Jalen Daniels.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I should know that. The guy's, if he's healthy, a legit, I think legit Heisman candidate. But anyway.
Yeah, so there's not much to talk about here. I'll just say Kansas 56, Lindenwood 3.
56-3.
Yeah.
Okay. I had this game pretty close to what you were predicting. I thought, they'll probably Kansas will play their second and third string in the beginning of the second half.
Yeah.
This team, Lindenwood, which I've never heard of. No disrespect, Lindenwood, excuse me. But I have to think they'll probably be up at halftime, like, I don't know, 42-0 or 54-7 or something. So I have to think that Lance Leipold, who's a really great coach and also is very respectful when they play a team like this, is not going to pour it on in the second half. So as bad as this sounds, I think it could have been a lot worse. I'm going 52-14. I'm being generous to Lindenwood, I think, but okay.
Okay.
Who else you got?
Also playing on Thursday is Colorado against North Dakota State. I want to watch this, but it's during the Utah game. Actually, it starts an hour earlier, so we should be able to watch some of it.
Here, get up nice and close to that. There you go. No, I can't fully hear you, so just get nice and close.
Okay. So North Dakota State and Colorado. I think it's a potential upset. And it's not. North Dakota State is usually one of the best teams in all of FCS. So, I mean, it wouldn't be shocking if they won, but it'd be obviously an upset, I would say. Colorado's favored by 10 in this game. The spread is actually I don't see. Oh yeah, Colorado 10, and then total is 16. Over under 60.5. I think that's a pretty good prediction. I think Colorado will win this game, but I don't think I think it'll be pretty close. Since North Dakota State is obviously a very good FCS team, and Colorado, who knows how good they'll be this year. So I'm gonna say 35-21.
Okay, that's fair. By the way, Reed and I and my wife were in Fargo, North Dakota, just a little less than 2 months ago, and actually went by North Dakota State. Beautiful university, beautiful city, and they are big time football program at the FCS level. So would not surprise me, by the way, if they graduated to FBS in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
They're perennial, national champs every year. This is an interesting game because we all know Coach Prime is getting it left, right, and sideways because of his ridiculous press conferences and his the way he's treating this one reporter for the Denver Post, Sean Keeler, not answering any of his questions. Sports Nation is just all over Coach Prime about this. Most people think it's ridiculous. He's part of the big boy football league now, and if you can't take some difficult questions, I'm probably in that camp. I realize that not all of the writing from Sean Keeler has been favorable, and so I think the school and Deion are trying to protect the image and the program. But I can see Colorado being really fired up because they're getting negative press from all over the place. So I think they're going to come out like men with their hair on fire, and I think they're going to put up like, I don't know. I think like high 40s. I can see like 47-31, something like that. I guess don't quote me on that. Although I guess you are, since we're giving our picks tonight. So okay, I'll say 47-31, and Deion and Shedeur and the whole gang and Travis Hunter, they're gonna be very fired up after a terrible PR couple of weeks and months. So that's my pick. Okay, who else you got?
Okay, last game for Big 12 on Thursday is Utah and Southern Utah. Obviously we're excited for this. First time Cam Rising's back in a year, over a year. So I'm thinking it'll just kind of be a tune-up game, shake off the rust, especially for Cam Rising. he probably won't. He'll probably only play the first half if it goes how they want it to. Kind of give the second string Isaac Wilson and see who else is Brandon Rose still there?
Yeah, so it's QB2 is Isaac Wilson, who's the brother of Zach Wilson, of course, 4-star quarterback out of Corner Canyon, a perennial powerhouse who just beat IMG Academy, which was a big upset. Utes are hoping to get Miles, a 5-star wide receiver who plays there, and with Isaac Wilson, who used to throw to him, a year ago. What a duo that would be, who are already very familiar with each other. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so this spread is Utah minus 38.5. So I don't think it'll be close. Utah played Southern Utah last year. It was wait, they played them last year, right?
Yeah.
And then so I think I'm just gonna go out and say Utah 56-7.
Okay. By the way, I didn't finish the order. I got stuck on Isaac Wilson. So Isaac Wilson, QB2, and then Brandon Rose, QB3 at this point, and then Sam Heward, part of the Brock Heward, all the Hewards from Washington, part of that clan. I guess it's Brock Heward's nephew, who was I think a 5-star prospect who started at Washington, and then most recently played at Cal Poly before Utah picked him up. So I think that, Cam Rising, who hasn't played in, all of last season and went down in the very early in 2023 in the Rose Bowl against Penn State and hasn't been on the field since. So I think he's going to be fired up. He's got something to prove. He's got some new weapons. Dorian Singer, who Whittingham has made very clear is wide receiver 1, without a doubt. He sings his praises all over the place. But I think people only know about those two sometimes, and of course Brent Keithy, who's potentially an All-American tight end. I think he will be an All-American tight end. It's a question of first, second, or third team, right? Anyway, so something to prove. I think the layoff. Whittingham does not like to embarrass inferior opponents. So in the second half, you'll see definitely 100% take it to the bank. You'll see Wilson, and I think you'll see maybe a combination of Brandon Rose and Sam Heward as well. And I think you'll see some receivers that are not going to get a ton of play during the season. And for that matter, maybe a couple of running backs just to shore that up. So my final pick for the score, I'm going to say 59-7.
Pretty close to me.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. Okay,
next is TCU and Stanford. That's Friday. Only Big 12 game on Friday. So probably one of the best games so far that I've talked about in terms of, I don't know, I guess they're probably the closest in terms of skill level to each other out of these teams I've talked about so far. So TCU is favored by 9.5. They play at Stanford. I think the environment won't really be a problem for TCU.
Stadium should be half filled, probably, right?
But I think TCU will go in there and win. I think Stanford is going to be, I'm guessing middle to lower in the ACC this year. So I'm going to say TCU 35-21. 35-23.
Okay. I think that's fair. This has so many storylines for me, even though it seems like kind of a mid game to start the season. I mean, at least it's two, P4 programs. But for me, the storyline is there's been so much talk about we all know that SEC and Big Ten. Those are the power two. There's no debate about that. And then it's everybody after that between the ACC and the Big 12. Who's the best third conference? And there's a lot of back and forth. And because of the marquee brands of Clemson and Florida State, a lot of ACC folks think that they that's the distinction. They should be the third best conference. But because the conference with all the litigation between those two schools and the ACC, it's pretty clear that something will happen, most likely within the next 2 to 3 years. I'm not saying that definitively. It's possible that the ACC will come together with those two teams and figure out something long term. But most experts at this point believe that there will be a way for them to get out of their grant of rights deal with the conference and with ESPN and the network. And so anyway, I kind of love that angle because the ACC and the Big 12, especially on X, such a battle with who's the third best conference. So any ACC Big 12 battles are really good for me. Even when you have a Stanford program I wasn't kidding. I think their stadium will probably be half full. It's such a fair weather crowd in Palo Alto. But I love everything about TCU, honestly. Go Horned Frogs. Sonny Dykes is an amazing offensive mind, great coach, great person. I just found out he donated $1 million, he and his wife, to, I think, the athletic program at TCU. He's super invested in the program. They had an off year last year after going to beating. People forget that they were in the 14 playoff a year before. They don't forget that, but what they forget is that they beat Michigan in order to ultimately get stomped by Georgia. Not even close. I think it was at 63-7.
65-7.
65-7. I always get that wrong. At least I'm not saying 3. I used to say it was 3. Anyway, so I love TCU. I think they're going to bounce back after a mediocre year, and I can see them being in the upper tier of the conference. And so I got this game, definitely TCU. I'm going to go they're going to make a statement. They hated losing to Coach Prime and Colorado last year. Remember that in the first game?
Yeah.
So they're not going to let that happen again this year, especially on the road. So I can see this something like 38 to I'll say 38-14.
All right.
So, okay. Who else you got?
Okay. Next game is Saturday. Penn State, West Virginia. This actually pretty excited for this. It's a 9 a.m. game, so I always like 9 a.m. games. Get to wake up and watch college football. But this could be a potential upset. It's at West Virginia, so I think that will help. That's really good for West Virginia because nobody wants to play in Happy Valley. But so I think there's a chance of an upset here. Penn State's only favored by 8, which I think is it's a good pick or a good spread. I think Penn State will get the win, but I wouldn't be shocked if West Virginia shocked them and got the win. If they did win, it would be very close. I think it'll be close even if Penn State wins. I'm gonna go and say 28-21.
Okay. You got Nittany Lions.
Yeah.
Okay. I respect that. I don't want to sound like a Big 12 homer and just pumping up all the Big 12 teams, but I actually think, and I know that Penn State is not taking this game lightly at all. Playing in Morgantown is a tough place to play. But I believe that I'm putting my money on Garrett Green over Drew Aller. Drew Aller was a 5-star prospect. Never fully, at least up to this point, has not ever reached his potential. If I'm not mistaken, he's stayed healthy. I don't think he's had any bouts of illness, or I should say injury. Hopefully not illness. But if somebody can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think that he's played most of the games that he was scheduled to play. And he definitely has not reached his potential. Garrett Green has got some legs on him. He's a very well-rounded quarterback. We know that, both in college and the pros, it all goes through the quarterback. And as goes the success of the quarterback, so goes the scorer and ultimately the success of the team. So I'm going to put my money on Garrett Green. I just think, even though Penn State is not taking this lightly, I think that West Virginia has felt disrespected the last few years. Has never, well, not never, but more recently has not been picked near the top of the conference. And I think, I think West Virginia is primed for a very, very good season, which we'll talk more as the season goes on about why that is. We don't have time right now, but I think that this is going to be a good game. I think it will come down to a possession or two. So I'm going to say West Virginia 31-28.
Okay, yeah, I don't disagree with that necessarily.
We're pretty close on,
Yeah.
on our score predictions there.
Okay, next is South Dakota State and Oklahoma State. So again, another good FCS program. I believe they were better than North Dakota State last year. Them and North Dakota State are usually at the top of FCS, along with sometimes Montana and those northern teams, I guess. But okay, so Oklahoma State is favored by 9.5, which is actually pretty low. So they're giving South Dakota State a lot of credit here. It's at Oklahoma State, which is a tough place to play. I'm excited to go this fall. And so I think Oklahoma State will pull off a win. Well, not pull off. It should be a win for them, but yeah, I think it'll be a nice game. It's not necessarily gonna be easy, but it is still an FCS opponent. So kind of get things loosened up and ready for the season to come. So I'll say Oklahoma State's 42-28.
Okay. I think that's fair. Pretty good margin right there. You know what? I'm not gonna waste time on this one. I think Oklahoma State's fired up to have a really good season. As Reed said, we're going to be going to when Utah plays in Stillwater. He and I will be there. We've got our tickets, we've got our hotel, we've got our rental car. We're excited. And I'd never been to Boone Pickens Stadium, but I understand it's an amazing atmosphere. So I think they're going to be ready. And as much as I want to give credit to South Dakota State, the home of the Jackrabbits, right?
Yeah.
Because they're a legit team, but I just think they're going to be overpowered, overwhelmed, playing on an extremely tough place to play in Stillwater. So I'm gonna say they're going to come out fired up and just out physical them and show their dominance. I'm saying Oklahoma State 47, South Dakota State 18.
Okay. Wait, what would you say for Oklahoma State?
47-18.
Wow.
So
yeah. Okay.
pretty close. Not really.
Okay, so next game of the day is Cincinnati at Towson.
I think it's Towson.
Towson. Okay.
You guys correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I think it's Towson.
Towson at Cincinnati. I have no idea about Towson. I've never heard anything about them. Are they FCS?
I believe so. I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have. Yes, of course they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it has this game has Cincinnati by 31.5. Wow. If this team must be pretty bad if Cincinnati's favored by 31.5. Well, yeah. So I also don't know a ton about Cincinnati, but I know that they're not going to be one of the best teams in the Big 12 this year. Is at least what I think. And most people have them as sort of bottom end of the conference, but so they should still win this game by a lot. Kind of get ready for the season as most FCS games are kind of accomplished for these FBS teams. So I think they'll win Cincinnati 48-14.
Okay. I'm going to out myself and just admit that I don't know a ton yet. We're just getting into the season. We're new Big 12 fans. I don't know a ton yet about the big thing I know is that their head coach is Scott Satterfield, and he came from Louisville, head coach at Louisville Cardinals, and wasn't a barn burner with success. Like he was good. They enjoyed some success, but and of course they've ever since Luke Fickell left for greener pastures in Madison, Wisconsin. This team has not been the same, and of course there's going to be rebuilding. And then losing what was his name, Ritter. Desmond Ritter, to the NFL. Like that was a huge loss, and so they have not been able to capitalize yet on his replacement. So, and then I know they had some injuries, so I don't know a ton about this team, but I do know that against Towson they're going to win. And Satterfield, I'm not going to say he's on the hot seat because he's been given time to kind of grow this team, but I would say another season or two of mediocrity, and yeah, his seat's going to get really warm. So, but this year they're going to out muscle this team. So I'm going to say, let's see, Cincinnati 34, Towson 3.
Okay. So next we have, hold on. Okay. Next is North Dakota and Iowa State. I don't know much about North Dakota. Obviously, North Dakota State is the better team in the state. But they're playing Iowa State at Iowa State. Looks like a cool place to go, Jack Trice Stadium. They have some really good, passionate fans and good atmosphere. So I think they'll be ready for this game. It's an afternoon game, early afternoon. So it should be fun. Iowa State's favored by 28.5. So yeah, not much to say about this game. I'll go Iowa State's 45, North Dakota 7.
Okay. Ames, Iowa is a really tough place to play. I think they've a lot to prove this year. I think they've felt disrespected because they're not listed in the top 4 or 5, teams that are predicted to be top of the conference. And they clearly have pieces that could get them there. So I think that they're not going to take anyone for granted, and it won't be an exception with North Dakota. So I see this as, again, tough place to play. Great coaching on Iowa State side. We'll find that balance of socking it to them early and then just letting up the effort and the score towards the end. So I see domination, but not a complete blowout. I think they'll be respectful and probably end up winning this thing like 44 to 13 is my prediction for North Dakota and Iowa State.
All right. Next matchup of the day is Kansas State versus UT Martin. So Kansas State's supposed to be one of the best teams in the Big 12 this year. Kind of in that top 3 that people are saying with Utah, Oklahoma State, and Kansas State. All are competing also with many more for a playoff berth / conference title. So not much to say about this game either. A lot of these games kind of just won't be that entertaining. If you like offense, they will. But so I'm going to go Kansas State 56 to I feel like I'm going in the 50s a lot. Okay, I'll go.
That's how these first weeks go,
Yeah.
playing against these kind of opponents. So it's okay.
Yeah,
If that's what you're thinking.
56 to 7.
Okay. I think that's probably pretty close. There's not much to say. I'm excited to see Avery Johnson. I've heard so much positivity on the guy, and I'll just be honest, again, new to the Big 12, so I saw little bits and pieces. Of course, he hasn't played a lot of games, so it's not like he's been in for a ton of their games, but can't wait to see Avery Johnson. They got some elite running backs, some amazing wide receivers from what I understand, and just studs on both sides of the line. So this will be domination, no doubt. I've got mid to high 50s. I'll say 55 to 10, Kansas State over UT Martin.
Okay, next game is Baylor Tarleton State. So again, these matchups a lot of them are pretty boring this week. A lot of FCS, FBS matchups. So they got Baylor by 26.5. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say the predictions now. I'll go Baylor 48-3. Or yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay. Baylor, yeah, by the way, I did check read just to clarify. Baylor does play Utah next week. So in game 2. And just a reminder, this should be a conference game, but it's not because this was planned before Utah made the jump to the Big 12. So this will not count the game. Sorry, not this week for week 1, but for week 2, it will not count towards either's conference wins, losses. So, but anyway, Baylor, yeah, clearly they're playing at home, of course, against an FCS opponent. Tarleton State, I don't know much about Tarleton State. I did notice they've already played a game. They must have played week 0 and they're 1-0. So I not checked to see who they beat. Probably not some powerhouse, but anyway, I've got Baylor not in a super high scoring game. I'm going to say 38-17.
All right. Give me a sec here. Okay. So next game is UNLV Houston. So FBS matchup, which is pretty fun to see in week 1 because a lot of FBS teams are playing FCS. But yeah, it's actually supposed to be a pretty close game. Houston's only favored by 2.5. Again, Houston's not projected to be one very good this year, one of the worst teams in the conference. And UNLV came off a pretty good year last year. I remember watching them. They played Kansas in their bowl game, and I believe they did lose to Kansas, but it was a pretty good game, I remember. And
yeah, they were legit last year.
Yeah, did they win the Mountain West?
I believe you're right. I think so.
I forget who won the Mountain West, but they're definitely at the top.
But it was one of those weird years. UNLV never seems to be good in football.
Yeah,
but they were really good last year.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go out and say UNLV is gonna win this. I mean, going to Houston, I don't know, but I think UNLV has the potential to upset, or I guess you could call it an upset, against Houston. So I'll say 28-20. Let's see. I'll do 31-28 UNLV.
31-28. Okay. I respect the upset alert there, upset watch. I don't think it's going to happen for UNLV. Could be wrong because I think it's going to be a close game. I do think that that Willie Fritz, the new Houston head coach, is going to have his boys ready, and I know that even though UNLV had a good year, not saying it's going to totally end, but I think Houston's going to have the motivation, the home field advantage, the new coach, and I feel like it's going to all pay off. So close game. I'm going to say kind of a low scoring game. As they're figuring things out, I'm going to say 24-17. I've got Houston winning that game against UNLV.
Okay. Next matchup. Shoot.
We got Texas Tech and Abilene Christian.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so Texas Tech favored by a lot here.
32.5 is the spread.
Yeah.
Texas Tech at minus 32.5.
So I have no idea about anything Abilene Christian. And I'm trying to learn more about Texas Tech. I know about some of their strengths and weaknesses, as I did some research earlier this year, as Utah was moving into the Big 12. But I think there's not much to say about this matchup. Texas Tech should obviously win this at home. A pretty tough place to play. But yeah, I'm gonna go Texas Tech 45-7.
Okay. I feel like I keep saying this about 3 or 4 teams, but Joey McGuire, the head coach for the Red Raiders, has feels disrespected, feels like he's being left out of conversations about being at the top of the conference, because last year the Red Raiders were a dark horse pick to win the conference. And in some cases, not just a dark horse pick. They were flat out by reputable organizations, picked to win the Big 12 last year, even with Oklahoma and Texas. But they had that tough loss with Oregon and also with Wyoming to start the year, right? It was Wyoming and Oregon.
Yeah, they went
Tough losses in both.
Remember that?
They went into Laramie and barely
It
lost.
was like in like double overtime. Or
Yeah,
something.
and then they lost at home against Oregon with that weird fumble that Oregon ran back. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I thought they were going to beat Oregon.
Yeah, it was a done deal. It looked like. Anyway, so much like West Virginia, and there's a couple of other teams where, like Neil Brown of West Virginia just has this chip on his shoulder, and I think that Joey McGuire is he's an amazing coach, but he's starting to get that chip because he sees teams like Utah and Arizona coming in first year and they're picked in the top, quarter of the conference. And here they are, they're perennial, juggernaut in this conference for, since 1996 when the Big 12 was first created. And so they're going to come out ready, especially with a team like Abilene Christian. So for sure at home in Lubbock, they're going to win and they're going to win big. I've got them 46-14.
All right. Next game, Southern Illinois versus BYU. So I'm pretty surprised here that BYU's only favored by 14. I remember that's how much they beat Sam Houston by last year. I remember it's kind of a weird game. BYU obviously wasn't playing their hardest. Their intensity level probably wasn't like the highest it could be because I don't know. But they ended up winning that game by 14, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they'll win. Southern Illinois, I don't know anything about them, but BYU, yeah, they should win this game. Not much to say about it. I'll go BYU 35-14.
Yeah, I think BYU is tired of all the publicity that the Utes are getting in the state of Utah as the new dog. I mean, how must it really annoy Cougar fans to have the Utes, who they've detested, they've been rivals for over 100 years, come into the conference that BYU finally figured out how to get into, this Power 5 conference, and Utah turns around and comes in the year after BYU. And not only comes in, but is favored to be the big dog in the conference. I actually know how BYU fans feel because I'm having gone to school at University of Utah and having family in Utah and married to a BYU Cougar. I know very well that they were not super excited about this move to the conference, and even worse, they didn't like how disrespected they've been compared to Utah over the last couple of years. So anyway, they are going to come out swinging. I may have missed it, guys, and so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Sataki's waiting and Aaron Roderick, the OC, they're waiting a long time to announce the starting quarterback. Did I miss that, Reed? I don't think they've announced between Retzloff and Jerry Bohannon. It's going to be one or the other. And if I have missed that, I apologize. But I think that makes a big difference. I think they're going to lean towards Bohannon. It sounds like. I think he had the inside track. And again, if they've already announced it, I apologize that I missed that. But that was the bet. This is good. They're going to come out strong. I do think Southern Illinois is going to be sneaky good. Excuse me, Southern Illinois. I butchered that. They're going to be sneaky good. And so I'm going to say, I'm going to say 38-21 BYU.
Yeah, okay. Pretty similar to mine. Next matchup is Arizona, New Mexico. So ESPN has Arizona by 31. Arizona or New Mexico coming off a loss. It was to Montana State, right?
Yeah. Saturday
kind of sucks because losing to an FCS school is never fun. And also Montana State also earned $360,000 from playing New Mexico, and so that would suck for them to earn that much money and beat you. So, while I don't think they'll win, they'll probably be pretty fired up after a loss to an FCS school. So I think it'll be closer than ESPN thinks. Arizona obviously very good. Should be top of the Big 12. Top quarter. I'm gonna go Arizona 35 to maybe let's go 17.
Okay, I've obviously got Arizona winning, but this is a tale of two new coaches. Though I'm not a BYU football fan, I am a Bronco Mendenhall fan, who's of course the Lobos head coach, and lost a heartbreaker last week, as Reed said, against Montana State. Actually, they were not favored against Montana State. How crazy is that? That a FCS school comes into your house as an FBS football program and is favored to beat you. And actually, New Mexico should have won that game. They were up, was it 11 going into the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, but again, Bronco Mendenhall is going to have a lot of success in Albuquerque, but just not this weekend. So again, the line is Arizona minus 31. I think they'll cover that. I can see this being like something like a 54-10 kind of route. Total points they've got at 58.5. And yeah, I've clearly got the over there. So anyway, yeah, I see it as being that sort of blowout.
All right. So last game of the weekend for the Big 12. Actually, it's only at 7:30, so games will finish pretty quick. So Wyoming and Arizona State. I think so. Arizona State is favored in this game, which actually could come as a surprise. Actually, I don't know, but because Wyoming's pretty good for they're usually one of the top teams in the Mountain West. They're always kind of competitive and sneaky good in games that you don't think they would win. So Arizona State's only favored by 7. I think Wyoming could very well beat them, and I actually think they can, but I think I'm still gonna go with Arizona State. But I wouldn't be shocked if Wyoming beat them. So either way, I think it's gonna be pretty close. I'm gonna go Arizona State 28-21.
Okay. I think, that's right at the spread of ASU minus 7. So, I was tempted to pick Wyoming in an upset because this feels like it could be that kind of game. But then I realized they just had that upset, Wyoming, last year against Texas Tech in like double overtime. Could they do that 2 years in a row? Now, I know that was at home last year in Laramie. And so they had the advantage there, and they're going into Tempe. So I also took that into account. I'm like, if they were a cat, they've already, I think, used their 9 lives last year. So I'm going to say they're going to make it close. I even think they'll be ahead at some point in the game, but I see a close one. I don't even think Arizona State will cover the spread of 7. I'm going to say in the end, it's going to be a 28-24 win by the Sun Devils in Tempe. Okay, that's all the games, right, Reed?
Yeah.
I don't think we missed any. Okay, so I am going to conclude with hot takes, and
how many hot takes do you have?
I've got a few, but we're gonna go through them rapid style. So okay, I'm just gonna throw them out there and then let them percolate. Maybe I'll talk about them on our next episode a little bit more. But here's my hot takes, and we'll leave you with these. Some will not surprise you. Some may shock you. So get ready. Okay. Put on your seatbelts. Here we go. Coach Dave Aranda of the Baylor Bears will not only not be fired this year, but will win 6 games and become bowl eligible. Pretty crazy, right?
That's not that crazy to me.
I think people know he needs to win 6 games, but they've got a very tough schedule. And I don't think they have the talent to. I think it's going to be sure will and determination they get to 6 wins with their schedule. Okay. Next hot take involves Iowa State Cyclones. Due to multiple injuries, Iowa State will limp to a 7-5 season, which I think most people think they'll win 8 or 9 games. But they'll limp to a 7-5 season. We'll have a 4-game losing streak against West Virginia, UCF, Texas Tech, and Kansas. They'll lose 4 games in a row.
Tough 4-game stretch.
But they'll obviously, if they're 7-5, they're going to be hot throughout most of the rest of the year. That's a very tough stretch. Yeah. And to further this prediction, I'll give a bonus prediction on Iowa State. They will go to a bowl game, of course, having won 7 games, but will lose to a G5 school. I'm not disrespecting Matt Campbell and his team. It's just going to be one of those years where they by the injury bug and some things just don't go their way. Okay. All right. My next hot take, if you're ready, brace yourself, Reed. This involves the Arizona Wildcats. You ready for this one? Okay. Due to the offensive scheme change that Coach Brennan, as the brand new coach, brings in, Arizona will, quote, struggle and finish 8-4 this season. A lot of teams would say 8 wins is not a struggle, but Arizona, most predict them to win easily 9, maybe 10 games. So I think with the new scheme, Noah Fifita and McMillan are elite, both quarterback and receiver. But I see some struggles this year and new offensive scheme, new personnel. They did lose a fair amount in the portal, so watch out for only an 8-win season. Wildcat fans, don't come after me. I think that's pretty realistic. All right. Okay, this is about the Big 12. This hot take. The Big 12 will have a Heisman candidate, and it will, unfortunately, for me as a Ute fan, will not be Cam Rising. So there you go, Jayhawk fans. I'm giving you lots of love and lots of respect. So 10-win season, and candidate for the Heisman will be none other than your Jalen Daniels. Obviously, he just needs to stay healthy. Okay. Here we go. My next hot take. Get ready, my BYU fans. Ready for this, Reed?
Yeah.
BYU will hit the over of the 4.5 win total that Las Vegas has given them. And we'll finish, believe it or not, I know people think I want to give BYU and my BYU friends some disrespect here because I'm a Ute fan, but they will finish 7-5 in the regular season this year. So, okay, I'm feeling pretty strong about that. So, go Cougars. Okay. You getting bored?
No, I'm just curious.
Okay. I got 3 more.
Okay.
I think he's getting bored. Okay. Here we go. You knew I had to get a Utah hot take in here. Okay, here's my hot take. And for me, I don't know how hot a take it is, but for those who don't know Utah and their and some of their elite positions, this may be a surprise to you. Okay, Utah will have 4 all-conference first-team defense selections in the following players: Junior Tafuna, Lander Barton, Zamiah Vaughn, and Connor O'Toole will all be first team all defense Big 12 conference selections at the end of the year. And Lander Barton, by the way, who's the stud middle linebacker, will end the year as a consensus first team All-American. Take it to the bank. I saw today that he is, as far as nationally linebackers, I think he's selected to be the 3rd linebacker taken in the draft.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And by the way, Karini Reed, who also plays for Utah, is number 4 overall linebacker. So that was really cool. Okay. Second to last hot take. Okay. This is for my Oklahoma State friends. Ready? I apologize in advance if you're an Ollie Gordon fan, but Ollie Gordon will not be the leading running back in the Big 12. In fact, it will be Taj Brooks from Texas Tech. Maybe that's not a hot take because everyone knows Taj Brooks is next level good, but Ollie Gordon will have a solid, very good year, very good campaign. But Taj Brooks from Texas Tech will be the leading Big 12 back. And finally, okay, I really hate to say this. This involves my Utes. And you already know that we're going to the game in Stillwater. You ready for this, Reed? I saved the worst for last.
Yeah.
Utah will play Oklahoma State in the title game. That's good news. In a rematch of their first conference game, September 21st. That's the one that Reed and I are going to. Utah will lose that first game in Stillwater, but will win the Big 12.
Okay.
Boom. Mic drop. Okay. That's our show for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We are excited for a wonderful year. Join us each week for Big 12, Little 12. We will have predictions. We will have fun facts. We will have a lot more hot takes and many, many more things that will keep you coming back, no doubt. So thank you for joining. If you liked what you saw tonight, please subscribe to our channel, Big 12, Little 12. And also, if nothing else and you can't quite make it over to the right to subscribe, at least make it over to the left and hit that like button if you liked what you heard tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.